G'day guys, my name's Ben and welcome to the channel, and today we'll be fitting the side skirt lip extensions onto my Subaru WRX STI. And these ones are actually the eBay versions or the STI replica lips that you can find from hundreds of different resellers online. For me, I decided to buy one of the eBay replicas because the main reason is that in Australia at least, the OEM sells those side skirt genuine lips for over $1,000, absolutely crazy. And as much as I like going out and buying the genuine proper item, I just couldn't justify it to buy a lip, especially as I wasn't even sure on it. So the main reason I bought this at the moment is because down where I live, we're stuck in COVID lockdowns still. We are basically not allowed out of the house. So I've been ordering a lot of parts just as an excuse to go outside and fit things rather than being stuck at this desk like I am 5 days a week. This is the second lip that I've bought and fitted to my car. So I actually fitted the front lip kit a few weeks ago, which I've got a video to here. But I actually was pretty happy with that process. So I thought, considering I'm looking for another project to do, I may as well buy the side lips. So I bought them from the same supplier and I'll be fitting them up over the next couple of weeks while the weather's good. So going into this, I've been pretty keen to kind of go 100% do it yourself. So there's been a few problems that have come up along the way which I've tried to solve here. And I think most of them worked out for the best, but there's some pros and cons to both of those as well. So I hope you enjoy this install video. It's a bit longer than I thought, but I've made sure I've left all the sort of bits in it that show some of the problems and things that I've hit along the way. So I hope you find that helpful while you're doing your research if you think this is a part worth buying for your own car. And if you found this video helpful, guys, I'd really appreciate if you like and subscribe to the channel. It is greatly appreciated. And if you are interested in learning a little bit more as well, make sure you check out the written description on this because I have added some extra information there. And if you check out the channel, you can also see some of the other videos on parts that I fitted to my car and other things as well. All right, well, let's wrap up the intro and get right into it. So we'll basically jump straight into the unboxing video and go into fitment. I hope you enjoy.
So we've got the side skirts here today, which we're going to try and start to fit. This is the box that I received. Very similar to the front lip kit too, kind of a hollow end. You can see all the foam kind of sticking through. So once again, I hope there's no damage or anything on the end of these, but feels like there's some reasonable padding there.
For those that are interested, just thought I'd show you a close-up of the packaging material inside the box. So obviously the part is wrapped in plastic and in foam, and it's obviously labelled for this particular vehicle as well, which is good.
So we've split the two bags up, and it looks like this one here has a very similar rubber seal and bolts to what was in the front lip. That tape looks sort of questionable again, which I'm a little disappointed about. You can see it has come off in some spots.
So pro tip, if you're unboxing one of these yourself, the foam is wrapped very tightly around the lip, and be very careful when you're using scissors to cut through the tape.
Alright, so these look like they're pretty much the right part that we're trying to fit. The paint condition, once again, has a few imperfections in it, a few marks and scratches and things like that. You can kind of see it here, here, and kind of spread throughout. But it's not too bad considering this part's going to cop stones and dirt and scratches all day long. Like the front bumper, it looks like this clip here bracket has the tape left on, so once again I'll probably just puncture that to put the bolt through.
So I just thought I'd show you a few close-ups of the lip before we kind of do anything to it. And as you can see, straight out of the box, there's definitely some paint imperfections on the kit itself. These bits here, which obviously come up onto the side skirt, look to be in a much better condition than the rest of the lip. But generally speaking, it's not too bad, but it is definitely not perfect. With that said, let's jump in and start getting ready to fit it to the car.
Alright, let's get to work on getting these ready to fit to the car. So, looking at one of the side skirt pieces now, and obviously we've got a screw that goes into each section along the whole lip. I'm kind of wondering if I should enhance this with some double-sided tape or something that will help align it to the car before I put the screws in. Also, on the inside here, we've got another one of these clamps that's got tape over it, so I'll puncture a hole in there so I can align that to the car with I'm assuming that's the factory clip hole. Looks like here we have to put a screw into the back of the side skirt in the wheel well as well. So once again, I've got 2 rubber seals that I'm going to need to stick onto each one. So these will kind of go along like that, basically just to make sure that this edge doesn't damage any paintwork and fills in potentially a couple of gaps between the lip and the actual car itself. Once again, based on the experience I had with the front lip, not feeling too confident on these rubber seals. They're kind of not perfectly sealed on. So now we just got to puncture a small hole here to get it ready for that factory clip. So first up, I've got a few more alcohol wipes that I'm going to use on the inside of this lip to help kind of get these to stick down. Okay, I've just got a few clamps on here just as a test fit. I'm just trying to assess how this is going to attach. So the problem I'm concerned about is that this lip here, this seal, it's got a hell of a lot of it's got a big journey to go through with a lot of corners as we attach that. And as I kind of wedge this into the most important spot, which is right here. So we need to fill in the gap just here. I think this particular part here on the lip is completely irrelevant. This is the part that will kind of start to run under the car, and we really need to get that stuck down properly. So if I'm to kind of wedge that seal in like so, there is really quite a lot of pressure on the seal just here. You can even see it buckling just a little bit. And I'm kind of concerned that if I go to squeeze that in like this, like it just goes nuts. See? I really can't get that to line up to all the corners very well. So I'm actually thinking of cutting it to end either here or there, because I really do think that this is going to cause more trouble. I'm concerned enough that this won't stick in already. So I'm thinking I'm going to cut it here, but I also don't have much faith in how long this will stay stuck for. Alright, I've just got my car up on some ramps. I'm just kind of doing some planning. I'm not ready to fit this yet. I'm just doing a test fit of this. I haven't stuck any rubber or anything on yet. Just kind of have it sitting under the car. And unfortunately, I was hoping that this little bracket here, like on the front bumper, would act as a kind of anchor point for the rest of it to fit. But it doesn't. So I've got to put one screw here, one screw in that clamp that I just showed you here, and then screw the rest down the whole lip kit. But there is no guidance. There's no guidance clip here, so you've got to get it all right in the first hit. And obviously it's all dependent on lining that up properly, which I'm a little concerned about. So it sounds like step one. So I've got to screw this onto the car, which also means I'll have to remove the wheel from the car so I can get the screw in. So that's bloody annoying. Also, the rubber seal is not on yet, but I can kind of see that it's really important that I get that seal attached properly just here, because you can see there is a small gap there that obviously the seal fills in, which means I definitely need to run the seal at least to here. So I think I'll probably cut it here, but it's I'm really not sure if that'll hold for very long. So I think I'm gonna glue it or do something to help hold it in place in this position too. So I've decided I'm going to use some 3M double-sided tape to help stick this onto the car. So I'm just going to quickly prepare the lid by doing another alcohol wipe and dry down before we fit it. So looking at the back here, I've added some tape just on these edges, which is just to kind of build a bit of a seal up, because this screw hole here kind of comes out a bit, there's going to be a gap where a lot of dirt and dust will get in, and I don't know, I just thought I'd put a little bit of extra tape around the edges just to kind of help catch some of that dirt. I've also stacked about 4 pieces of tape on top of each other to kind of the same level as what this screw is going to be, and I've done that to kind of help grip it onto the car. This is mostly just to see if it'll help me when I fit all this myself, because I am doing it on my own. If some of this tape can help keep things in the right spot while I'm bolting it up, it'll be a win. That said, I might have caused myself more trouble and I've completely wasted my time, so we'll see how it goes. I've also added tape all down the lip as well, and I've done it in between the main bolt spots, and also at the back here I've done it for these little bits. So this tape is pretty thin. I'm hoping once it's bolted up it won't kind of cause any fitment problems, but considering this is all about putting pressure with the screws, I thought having a little bit of a extra spot here to kind of help lift it up and hold it on might help. In theory, probably should have just run a complete straight line of tape the entire way down, but I wasn't prepared to do that at this point. I'm going to have a go fitting these onto the lip now. Like I said, I'm not really feeling too confident on fitting this, particularly once we get to here. There's a lot of bends and movements here which I'm not sure about. I don't really trust this. So this is the most critical spot to get it, but we'll have to see how we go. I feel like this is going to be a frustrating piece to maintain on the car. So once I fit this up, I'll assess to see if I need to add anything extra to hold this down.
So getting this to stick comfortably was quite difficult, and this is actually a time lapse longer than 20 minutes.
Alright, so attempt 1 with the seal. As I said, it's already pulling out of here, and I've done a lot to kind of push that in. It's just not gripping, and I'm conscious that that is affecting this. So I'm probably going to trim it just here, but like I said, I'm a bit concerned about that. So the seal kind of went on kind of okay, not really. It isn't sticking on very well. I've actually had to kind of use masking tape to hold continual pressure to try and get that to stick properly. So I'm going to leave that for a little bit, but I will definitely be coming up with some glue or something to try and hold that on better. Alright, so I've got some masking tape that I'm using that I'm attempting to use to kind of lightly hold some pressure on to try and get that seal to attach as best as possible. Like I thought, it's being a bit dodgy, so fingers crossed that'll hold, but I will likely be following this up with super glue as I mentioned. It's been a couple of hours while I've left this on, so I'm going to take it off, and I've gone down and bought some super glue which I'll try and use to attach to the rubber seal. I'm sure there's a better product to use, but all that I can get at the moment is what's from the supermarket because we are in a lockdown. So with my best efforts I couldn't get this seal to stay stuck, so pretty disappointing there. So yeah, it's super glue time.
So I'm just using my trusty clamps again to hold down the most important parts while I put some super glue down. And in the end, for a series of reasons, I decided to put some super glue down across the whole seal.
Alright, it's a few days later, and I've actually had to use super glue to attach all this rubber seal to the actual lip. All the residue powdery stuff you see there is actually what gets left over from the super glue, so I'll be wiping that down. Yeah, what we've had to do is we've had to run the super glue around the whole edge of the lip to the very end just to hold it in firmly because it was just falling off, particularly in this spot just here. That zigzag pattern that the lip needed to go through was just too much for the original glue to stick to. So I tried to hold all this down with a lot of pressure and maintain the shape that it needs to be. But yeah, was this a good idea? It's a great question. I don't know yet. We'll find out soon. This could be a very big mistake. It could be the best thing ever. We'll have to find out.
Now to just quickly wipe all the residue off.
Alright, so I've got some duct tape here. I'm just going to be applying this over the edge of the seal and onto the plastic, just on the back side of course, just to kind of protect it from the elements just a little bit more. Obviously I've done a lot of gluing and things like that too, so I just want to cover it up a little bit and help secure it onto the car. Once again, this is super overkill, but I'm just trying to do it once, do it right. So I've gone and put duct tape all over the seal, just on the backing part, and also over the super glue that I've done as well. So once again, I don't know if that's going to do anything, but I'm just trying to protect all that glue and seal stickiness with just one extra layer. I'm not expecting this is going to last too long, but it's on the back of the car anyway, no one's going to see it. So what harm is there, right? Alright, we've got both done now. They've been sealed up quite nicely considering. Like I said, I don't know how much that's actually going to do, but yeah, time to fit them onto the car now, so let's get a move on.
Alright, today's the day we're finally going to be installing the lip kit, and it's taken a few weeks because of terrible weather on the weekends, but today's a great day, so I'm going to spend the day trying to fit it. Now I've got the car already, it's up on jack stands, the rear wheels are removed because I'm going to need to get a screw into here, which the wheel would have been in the way for. And with that too, as you saw, I've put some double-sided tape onto the lip kit as well, and I don't know if that's going to be a good idea or not, but I've also cleaned all under here quite well. Which included a wash and wiping underneath with a bit of wax and grease remover to make sure we got all that extra excess dirt off so it would stick as good as possible. But with that said, let's jump in and do a test fit and get it ready to fit onto the car.
I've just finished jacking the car up on stands, so we are good to start fitting it. The reason why I had to take the wheel off is I need to attach a bolt here, which looks like it's going to fit just around here somewhere, so that's going to be a really hard one to get to with the wheel off, so I thought I'd just take it off and yeah, we'll see how we go. So here we are, ready to fit this onto the car. We've got the double-sided tape on, everything's clean, all the glue is dry, we've got the extra tape here holding it on. The number one thing that I'm concerned about when I fit this is this little bit of rubber lip right here. When I've done test fits, before I've stuck this on, after I've stuck it on, there's a bit of a gap between the side skirt and the car, a really small hole to the ground, and it's going to look terrible if this doesn't cover it. Okay, I've just got the masking tape lightly holding this up, but I'm just kind of doing a test alignment. And as you can see, if I do a straight line, you can see that it's narrower here and gets larger and larger as it comes out at the bottom. But I can actually see now that I'm going to need to bend the plastic just a little bit under pressure while I fit this to make sure it's all right. And you can see as I bend it, it pops out a bit at the other end. So I'm going to definitely need a spotter to help fit this because I'll be under the car with the drill. So looks like I'm going to need to engage the missus. What I've decided to do is I've used some masking tape to kind of hold this reasonably in position, but also still give me a bit of freedom to move around and align this up. That should, for the time being, allow me to kind of comfortably work on either end while retaining the movement that I need as we go. So here's the back of the side skirt. This is the rear wheel arch. This is that rubber seal that I was mentioning I feel like is going to have a problem. So just have a look when I do a test fit. Do you see this little hole just here? I'm kind of putting my finger behind. That's what I'm hoping to close to seal properly once I attach it onto the car. But there's a lot of pressure that I need to hold onto here or it doesn't show. So fingers crossed it all attaches well. If not, I might need to just use a bit of tape just to block that hole like that. But yeah, it's definitely not a perfect fit, let's say that for sure. We're in the wheel arch here. It's almost time to fit this up. I think what I'm going to do is there's one bolt right underneath here, under the side skirt. And that looks like it's going to have a bit of free play. The hole is much bigger than this hole. So I think that might be the guiding pin, effectively, that I'll attach first. So I'm going to get my partner to help put as much pressure on this skirt as possible to align it. And then I'm going to bolt it, and then I'm going to follow up with putting this one in as far in as possible. And hopefully from there, it'll just be as simple as lining the rest of the skirt up as we go with that little bit of bend that I mentioned in it. I've got our impact driver, bag of screws, and I've got my trusty LED light here, and that's probably all we'll be using for the rest of this install. The only other thing that I've done is, like I did with the front lip, I'm just using some clamps here to help hold it onto the car. There's quite a lot of pressure on here, and I'm hoping that it will really help kind of maintain that pressure I need while I bolt it on. Okay, let's just do it. Can you tell me when you're...
I'm good.
Yes? So this is just an alternative view of me fitting the driver's side of the lip. And once this is over, we'll jump across to the passenger side. Got a bit excited then, didn't I?
Yep.
Yes?
Yep.
Once again, this is just an alternative view of me fitting the passenger side. And yeah, after this is done, we're finished. So finally time to put the wheels back on and lower the car, put it on the ground and have a look in the sun.
So there you go, guys. It's on the car, it's fitted, and am I completely happy with it? The answer is no. So obviously I tried to come up with a few solutions to a couple of problems that I foresaw were going to come up, and obviously the main one there was the rubber seal that would not attach very well to the lip kit itself. Now I will say, if you were installing it all on the one day, I do believe that the pressure you would get on the rubber seal and the plastic when you fit it would go a long way in holding it onto the car. But for me, I didn't want to have the pressure as the only thing keeping that lip on there. I wanted it firmly attached. And in the research that I did online, looking at photographs and videos of other people that have fitted similar lips, I could already see that that rubber lip was starting to lift in various parts on the car. And I think either way, whether you secure it before you fit it or you leave it up to the car and I guess physics to keep it on, I don't think you're ever going to achieve that perfect fitment. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm obviously not saying that this is the right way to go. This is just how I tackled it. But without a doubt, it was bloody frustrating. And with that too, obviously, there were some other fitment problems that we had too. So I did need to bend that lip out just a little bit, as you saw, and that put a little bit more pressure on the plastic than I'd hoped, which did take some effect in a few parts of the lip once fitted. And two, if you're going to try and fit this yourself, I really do think I wouldn't bother. I went in trying to do it all myself, and I ended up needing to bring someone in to help me fit that. The main thing was when you were bolting it on, you did need someone there to help line that edge up to the side of your car, because it does need some bend in it, which was obviously a little bit frustrating and a little bit difficult to do on your own. Also, I wasn't a fan that there was no anchoring point on the side skirt. So when I was fitting the front lip, part of that lip actually attached to a few factory bolts, which really helped line it up exactly where it needed to be. But with this side lip, you have no guidance. It really is dependent on you lining it up yourself. And with that too, you're fighting with this rubber seal that's putting a varying amount of pressure on the car, and you kind of need to decide how much pressure and how firm you want that attached before you put the bolts in. So it is difficult, and it does make it a lot more stressful when trying to line it up to the side of your car. So fitment in the rear wheel arch is not very good either. There is some air, I guess, between the lip kit and the side skirt once you attach it, and it's just not a flush look, and I think you could go a long way in improving how that works on the car. So I'm quite a perfectionist when it comes to keeping my cars clean and looking good, so seeing those little minor paint imperfections in the paintwork obviously wasn't the greatest thing ever. They are very minor and they're quite hard to see once they're on the car, but it is worth noting I think you would be very lucky to have one of these arrive in absolute perfect condition. And just remember too, if you already own a WRX or STI, you know that those side skirts stick out a lot. And just remember, this lip kit's adding about 2 centimeters more onto that. So you really need to take a mental note not to hit it with your shoes as you're getting out of the car. So would I recommend this side skirt for anyone? I think the answer is no. I mean, it's okay. It does the job. It does have that OEM look, but I think there's a lot of problems that this lip has that are hard to solve yourself, and obviously are a little bit frustrating, particularly considering to fit this you are putting holes into your car. So, you know, you want to make sure that you're ready to fit this part if that's the case. Obviously, if you're not too fussy about your car, I think you'll be fine with it. But if you're someone like me that was probably leaning towards preferring that OEM part, I really do probably think about going straight to the OEM part. I know, at least in Australia, it's 4 or 5 times the price, so you really will need to think about if that's actually a good option for you. So if I was going to go down an aftermarket route again for a side lip, first of all, I would consider just getting the genuine STI lip, but if you weren't, one of the lips I was considering was the HT Autos lip kit, and that's about twice the price of this one, which is the reason I decided to go down this path. But the main difference here is that lip doesn't have that piece that comes up onto the side of the car. And that part is problematic. It doesn't have any bolts or anything like that, so it just kind of sits there, and you can see it's not flush against the car as much as you'd like it to be. Whereas those aftermarket lips that just put the lip underneath, you don't have to worry about that, and I think it's a much safer option for someone who's a bit of a perfectionist. Well, I hope you found that video helpful, guys, and thanks a lot for watching. If you want to stay tuned for more, I think I'm probably going to be fitting coilovers to my car next, so stay tuned for that one at some point in the future. But for now, we'll leave it there, so thanks a lot, and we'll see you around.